Good evening, everybody, and welcome back inside Patti Finnegan's. We're on the campus of Oakland University. It is the Greg Kampe Show. Of course, he is a coach, Greg Kampe. My name is Neil Rule. Happy New Year to everyone, and trust that the holiday celebrations were good. But, Camp, it's January 6th. How long can you say Happy New Year for? Is there like a number?
Well, the first time you see somebody.
First time, okay.
Yeah.
But
so
after that?
Once you've said it once, why would you say it again?
Okay, well, I'm trying to make sure that we have it all hammered down here.
Right.
But, Camp, long week of Golden Grizzlies basketball. It was a road trip week. It was a home game on Sunday as well. And, Camp, let's just start with the road trip, obviously going to Wright State, going to Youngstown State. And look, Camp, I've been with you for a long time. Maybe one of the more bizarre road trips that we've had in a while. We get to Dayton, it's 72 degrees. That next morning, it's 11 degrees. People are sick everywhere. It was a wild trip, Camp.
Yeah, it really was. And then you compound that, the 5 days off that we gave them. And again, I just have not handled that very well, that break at Christmas. And since the league has gone to league games after Christmas, in the old days we used to schedule a non-D1 or a game that you're going to win. So you come back, you enjoy your holidays, you come back and you play a game that's more of an exhibition, a practice game. You're going to win by 50 and everybody gets to play and you feel good about yourselves and you can miss shots and all that kind of stuff. But since the league's gone to playing games there, we've not done well in that first game back. And I just haven't cracked that code yet. We tried something new this year, and it didn't work. So I will keep working on it. Obviously, Wright State cracked it because they made 16 of the first 20 shots and played unbelievable. So you can't sit there and say, well, it's just because of the break, because they had a 2-day less break than we did, but they still played a fantastic basketball game. So we've got to figure that one out. It's been 4 years now that we lose that game every year. And we never have it at home either, which has always been kind of weird. That you would think that would all even out in league scheduling, but it's always on the road and it's always against a good team.
Well, maybe the next 4 years in a row it'll be here, maybe.
And we'll see. But I'd like to be here at least once, But one of the teams, I think it might have been Robert Morris, got it at home and lost it. And so that's even worse, I think, if you play poorly and lose it. No, it was Youngstown. Youngstown lost to Detroit at home in the game back from Christmas, and that's going to really hurt Youngstown as they go through the process. So, it is what it is. And, we had a bunch of guys sick, including me. We had all kinds of issues. But we righted the ship. One didn't become two. We went to Youngstown and got way behind again, and came back and played really, really well in the second half. And every time we've gone on a road trip where we've been able to go bowling as a team and eating at a great restaurant, we've always come back and won the game. So we're gonna have to do a lot of bowling,
yeah.
Good eating the rest of the year. So.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to get involved with the show, you can. Go to X, Twitter, whatever you call it. Just use the hashtag AskCampy if you have a question for Camp.
All you guys that were here when Mike told you how great of a bowler he was and that he was by far the best, he was terrible. He was awful.
It's always like that,
Yeah,
Camp.
I mean, I think he bowled 120 or something. And,
yeah,
I mean, I thought he was going to bowl 200. I thought, something great after the way he chirped on this show. So we'll do it again later in the year, and we'll see. Maybe he just had a bad day. Maybe.
If you want to get involved with the show, Twitter, X, put the hashtag AskCampy with any question you have for Camp. If you're watching on the YouTube stream, you can drop your questions in there as well. On the YouTube stream, Professor Gilbert in the house. That is correct. Professor Gary Gilbert is here, as a matter of fact. My journalism professor back when I was a student at Oakland. But, Camp, no, after that Wright State game, it was a pivotal game at Youngstown. In the response to, and you talked about it, trailing by double digits, I think it was, at one point in that first half. That comeback started right before you got to the half and trailed by 3 at the break. And then in the end, Camp came back and got a win, quite frankly, that if you want to win a championship, Camp, those are the wins you have to find a way to get.
Absolutely, and the good was the way we did it. They had 40 points with 5.5 minutes to go, and I called a very rare timeout. I usually don't stop runs and things like that. I figured those timeouts are more important yet in the season, and at the end of the game, and we let them go. But it was the use it or lose it timeout, and it was really going bad, so I used it. And in the last 5 minutes and 45 seconds, they didn't score again other than 3 free throws on a very questionable. The shot clock was going off. We had a kid in a trap, and he threw the ball, and they called it 3 free throws. Those were their only 3 points they scored in the last 5.5 minutes of the half. And I think if you look back at this when it's all said and done, that stretch of defense and then finding a way to get the stops at the end of that game, Youngstown at home can really score the ball, and they're really good on offense, and they were having a really good day, and we found a way to shut them down. We had a couple bad things go against us in the last couple minutes. Brett White hit a huge 3. We got an offensive rebound to take the lead, and then we got to stop. We had 17 seconds left, and we were able to get the stop. And as you said, those are the type of things that give you a chance to win championships. And we've had 2 situations this year, the end of the Toledo game and the end of the Youngstown game, where we had to get a stop to win, and both times we got them. So gives you confidence going forward, because there's going to be a lot more games like that. Yeah,
especially on the road. Those are where those tend to happen. Right. Kind of wrapping up the week, a game at home against Robert Morris, and for those that may have forgotten or whatever, Robert Morris, the conference champions last year, gave Alabama all they wanted in the NCAA tournament. And Camp, is that as well as you guys have played this year?
Well, I think that, we're so much better defensively, and we're getting better defensively, as you know we do, and we're supposed to. That in that situation, when you've not been at home for a month, and it's such a different game at home than it is on the road, and that's for decades and decades. It's been that way, and we've played 15 games, 16 games, and we've played 4 home games, and we hadn't been there in a month. And I just think the energy that was in the you have on the road, you have to create your own energy, and good teams do that. But when it's one after another, and it's not like we were playing poor teams. We go Northern Iowa, Northern Kentucky, Wright State, Youngstown, just back to back to back, and those teams, they want to beat Oakland, and so we get home and we just have the energy of the crowd and the energy. We had a really good crowd on a Sunday without our students on campus. It was a really good crowd, and there was a lot of energy, and we played to it. And you just saw in the game when it got to 10 or 12 points, that energy got it to 18, and then all of a sudden it was 30. And you beat the other team down. And the way we can score the ball and how quickly we score the ball can do that to teams. And so we got to see that. Did we play good? Yeah, but we played really good against Michigan State too. We played really good at Purdue. We played really good at Northern Iowa. We played really, really good at a lot of places that, I was expecting us to play, like that. Was I expecting to be up 30 in a league game? No, but I thought we could play really well. And so I was pleased with that. I got a really good basketball team. I've been saying that all year. Nobody really believes it, though, if you look at, what people say and things like that. And, we've just got to prove it.
Camp, as bad as the Wright State game started, you mentioned what you guys did against Youngstown State in the final, 33 minutes or whatever of that game. You actually had a stretch like that defensively against Wright State in the game. The deficit was just too great to overcome.
Yeah, and we didn't play well enough on offense to overcome. At Youngstown, we were still playing at a high quality of offense. At Wright State, we cut the 24-point lead to 12, and then we went 4 for 9 from the free throw line in a stretch that we could have got it down to 5 or 6, and then it's a whole different game. And they were able to keep it to 9 to 10, 11, 12 points, and we just weren't good enough on offense. But when you play 31 times, you're going to have multiple games like that. Bad teams have more than 50% of their games are that way. Good teams, you're going to have 4 or 5 games like that, and you've got to you got to find a way to win. But got to remember, in this league, we had an unbelievable team 2 years ago, and we were 15-5. Last year, Robert Morris had an unbelievable year. They were 15-5. The 5 number, since they've gone to 20 league games, the 15-5 is usually the number to win the league. That's 5 losses. So you're going to have some nights when you just don't get it done. I mean, that great team we had 2 years ago, the second to last home game, Wright State came in here and beat us by 20-some points. We just didn't have it that day. But we were also in a position that we knew we're going to win the league. We knew, that motivation and things like that. Sometimes just when you play so many times, you just have to keep an even keel. And that's what we're trying to do with this team, and just keep consistent in what we do every day and play every game consistently and with the same amount of energy and effort. And if we do, we're going to be there at the end. I'm not guaranteeing you we're going to win a championship, but we will be in the hunt and down the end. And I have a really good feeling that if you analyze what's gone on, we're sitting at the top of the league with Wright State, and nobody's been where we've been. We've played at Northern Kentucky, who I think can win the league, at Wright State, who I think can win the league, at Youngstown, who talented enough to be in the top 3 teams. They're going to struggle to win the league because they've got 4 league losses already because of what happened. They've had a difficult schedule, but they lost 2 home games. And it's hard to lose home games and win a league. But we've gone to those places, and then we also had Fort Wayne at home, who is always kind of an Achilles heel for us. That just the way they play hurts our zone and that. So we got all those games out of the way. Now we got Wright State at home again, and then we go to Milwaukee and Green Bay. And we're going to be at the halfway point of the season. We're going to be in a situation where we've gone to all the contenders. We've played at every contender except probably Robert Morris. So we're in a really good situation if we can play well at home. And so far we've shown we do play well at home. We're averaging 100 points a game in the arena this year. Think about that, 100 points a game in 4 games. And only one of those games was, a game that you'd say, well, of course you're going to score 100 points. Right. It's Defiance. But, I think you'll find this amazing, the people that have went to all the games. You saw us play Rochester University, Rochester College, or whatever they say, right? And they played us pretty good, right? They played a really good game against us. We beat them 99-90, right? We played Defiance College and beat them, could have named the score, right? 115-40 or whatever it was. Rochester College played at Defiance last week, and Defiance won. That's college basketball. That's the difference between home and road, right? And you would have never, if you watched those 2 games and you knew that Defiance was playing Rochester, you would have never guessed that. You wouldn't even think it had been a close game, and Defiance beat them. That's just shows you what we did. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to win like that, but we got a pretty good team.
Camp, as we get ready to wrap this up, Zaire Wells is here today. We will talk to him coming up in just a couple of minutes. But some breaking news from the program, Camp. Isaac Garrett was named the Under Armour Horizon League Player of the Week. And, absolutely just an explosive effort out of IG. And, Camp, we talked about this in the press conference. As you go through the season and you play these games, everybody's going to kind of take a turn at having it be their night. But IG was on one this week. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I'm surprised he got it because, we played 3 games this week, and the first game at Wright State was, probably his worst game probably in his career, in his college career for sure. He got in foul trouble. He made some mistakes. He wasn't very aggressive. But I think that's the game that may have turned his season around, though, because he realized that he was going down the path of not being aggressive enough offensively, and we had a long talk about it. That you're a great passer, and we run a lot of our offense through you, but that's not what we brought you here to do. We brought you here to score the ball, and he took that to heart the next 2 games, and and he went and scored the basketball the way he did earlier in the year against the Michigans and Houstons and people like that, where he had kind of been going the other way. Since Mike came in, he kind of was, acquiescing to Mike, and that's not what we want. We want to look at the matchup and get the ball to the guy with the matchup problem. And you're talking about scoring the ball. You got a guy coming on the show in a second here that can really score the ball. And, we want to get him we've got a lot of sets to him to get him in matchup situations. And it's what we want is we want the other team to make decisions. We want to play the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game and see what those decisions are, and then we're going to get the ball to the guy that we feel is their weakest link of their defense. And some nights it's going to be Zaire, some nights it's going to be Isaac, some nights it's going to be Mike, some nights it's going to be Baru. Brody is not in that. Brody's the distributor, and he's got to make decisions on his own when he's got to be offensively aggressive and when he's not, because he's got to run the show for us. But the other guys we look at are our matchup situations. And then if Brett's got it going, Nassim would have been that guy, and he and Brett would have shared that guy. But with Nassim out, if Brett's got it going from the floor, then we're gonna run some sets. I think we had about a 16-point lead against Robert Morris the other day, and we ran a set to Brett, even though he hadn't been making shots in the game. But we ran a set to him, and he came off it and buried a 3 right in front of our bench. And the game went from 16 to 30 once he hit that shot. So there are times in a game that you see something like that, and you want to take advantage of it. And it's way easier to do when you can score from every position. Obviously, a lot of our great teams could do that, but it still comes down to you got to have a point guard that can get the ball to those people. And we got that. We got 2 of them that can do it, but Brody is playing at an elite level. And as good as Isaac was, and as good, that point guard play was elite. And that's, even though he didn't make shots in the day and he had a couple turnovers that were uncharacteristic of him, his play is elite. His ball screen action, his getting the ball up the floor, his getting it into our offense. And, we struggled at the point guard the last 2 years because we didn't have a guy that could get us into the offense. And now, obviously we're, 2 years ago, we found a way to win and win big without it. But last year we struggled at crunch time because we didn't have it, and now it's a strength of ours.
Right.
Tremendous point guard play, and not just one individual.
Real quick, Camp, are you surprised that he's taken to this, Brody, I'm talking about here, at the point guard spot, playing for you? Because I've seen guys that have beat Dame Lillard for the scoring title, and I've seen guys that have led the country in assists, and I've seen guys that have gotten drafted to the NBA that played the position, that there was a process to it. Are you surprised that Brody's kind of picking this up so quickly?
What you're saying is bringing a transfer in and doing it. No, because of his age. And Brody is, I don't know if you caught that when he was here that day. Brody's I get texts from him with set plays that somebody in college basketball ran and said, boy, this would be good for us, and it wasn't him. This would be a good way to get Baru the basketball. In the game the other day, they got in a little bit of foul trouble, and they brought this 6'10" kid in that looked like he weighed 30 or 40 pounds is all right. And as soon as he stepped on the floor, Brody looked at me and wanted to run a set to get it to Baru because he knew Baru would kill him.
Right.
And the next 3 plays, Baru scored layups because, that's the elite level that Brody thinks of. He saw that. Now, hopefully I'm smart enough that I would have seen it too. All right. But he saw it, and he came to me before I even had a chance to, see. He's going, we need to run this play right now. So, okay, run it, So that's probably how it's okay. Now, I still get mad at him, and there's some nuances in what we do that he hasn't picked up yet. But who would? And we've played 16 games, so he's elite.
All right, when we come back, we're going to be joined by Zaire Wells. Here we're live at Patti Finnegan's. If you want to get involved, go to X, Twitter. This is the Greg Kampe Show, live from the campus of Oakland University.
Because every athlete deserves to be treated like a pro. Henry Ford Sports Medicine.
In every moment, in every shared smile, OU Credit Union Visa Signature Card is there, earning 3% cash back on groceries to stock their dorm room, 2% back on fueling up the tank for the journey ahead. With a $100 welcome offer and the first year's annual fee waived, it's more than just a card. It's your partner in making every moment count, even the ones that tug at your heartstrings. Make every moment and every mile more rewarding with an OU Credit Union Visa Signature Card.
So that's kind of be the flow of it. I'll ask you who your favorites of all time were and stuff like that.
All right.
Straight with that? Anything you want me to ask you about or anything like that?
No, it's fine.
Good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Right,
I'm nervous.
No, don't be. We're just rapping, man.
All right.
We sleep in the same hotels. We ride the same bus. We eat the same food. We're straight. Welcome back to Patti Finnegan's here on the campus of Oakland University. Neil Rule back here with you. It is the Greg Kampe Show. Remember, you can still get involved with the show on X with the hashtag AskKampe, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can go ahead and drop a comment in there as well. But right now, as promised, we are joined by Zaire Wells here at Patti Finnegan's. And Zaire, appreciate your time for sure. First off, man, I got to tell the people, how are you feeling? Because this guy was going through it on that road trip when I was talking about it. Man, some guys were down for the count, weren't they? How you feeling?
I'm feeling much better now, thankfully.
I hope so, man. I hope so. Like, you ever been a part of that before on a team where just like a bug works its way through and like people were knocked out, some people, man?
No, not like that. That was at least like 4 or 5 people sick. We had our own individual tables full of sick people. That was new.
Yeah, yeah. But as far as the background goes, if you want to tell everybody, just kind of explain, your path to Oakland. And I know that originally you're from New York, from Queens, in the city there. So just kind of explain your path here to Oakland.
I'm a JUCO kid. I came from Monroe Community College down in the Bronx, New Rochelle. From there, I went to Division II in North Carolina, Lenore-Rhine, which we made it to the Elite Eight last year.
Yeah, big-time program down there. Yeah.
Thankful to be a part of that. And from there, I just kind of landed here from the recruiting process from there. And I just knew I wanted to be in Michigan after that.
So I have to ask you this then. Transferring in from JUCO, being at Lenore-Rhine and stuff like that, fast forward to November 3rd, and you're at Chrysler Arena against Michigan, who has maybe the biggest college basketball team in the history of college basketball. But you get in there and you get right in the mix. You score 14 points, you get 6 rebounds. Like you're going in there. I guess my question, and this is kind of the same that I asked it to IG, when they jump the ball up at Chrysler and you're on national TV and you're playing nationally ranked Michigan and stuff like that, what was going through your mind?
Just don't think too much of it. It's still basketball at the end of the day. Like, it was a surreal moment, just being on the Michigan floor, like, just knowing about Michigan's history. Like, going into it, you have a lot of thoughts, but as soon as the ball goes up, it's just time to play ball.
Then you follow that, obviously, with the game at Purdue. Same situation, national TV again. Probably the most electric college basketball environment that you can be in, if not the one of, certainly. What was your takeaway from that? Because you balled in that game, man. 21, 12 boards, everything like that. Did that kind of confirm to you? Because look, we all have doubts, right? When we go somewhere new, we have self-doubt and things like that. After you walked off that floor there, did you say, all right, I know I can do this?
For sure. I didn't expect to play that well, but it was definitely like a good game to have after having the Michigan one. It just solidified my thought process and knowing that I belong here.
Zaire, your game, you are what I've talked about with camp, and I've said doing sports talk and all that kind of stuff. You are, it's not a new generation anymore of player, but what we've seen the NBA go to this, certainly we've seen college go to this. You're 6'6", you can handle the ball, you can shoot the ball, you can rebound the ball, you can pass the ball. Is there anything that you can't do on the basketball court? Other than check out, Coach Kampe said.
I could check out. Coach Kampe thinks I can't go right. I can go right.
Yeah. No, but again, this is the way that basketball's going, right? Like when you go look across the court at who you're going against, they're usually 6'6", 6'7", can do a little bit of everything. I don't want to like hold you to like being a wing per se, but it's almost like that wing type build. What angle of basketball is your favorite? What's your favorite thing to do on the floor?
I'll probably say run the floor because I'm quick. Being able to score in transition or even picking up. I really like to pick the ball up full court, even though it sometimes may be like a trouble for our zone because sometimes we need to be compact in the half court set. But I'd say running,
like getting out in transition. So I would assume you really enjoy playing at the arena. Then have you noticed that? Like I know we haven't played a lot of games at home, but it's a different basketball game, like Camp was talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, I really love the arena. I love playing there.
Yeah, it is. It's a big-time environment, a lot of fun. All right, Zaire, you personally, in your bio, it says that you like stand-up comedy. I got to tell you, in 15 years of doing this, I've never seen that in a bio before, that kid likes stand-up comedy. Do you have any stand-up comedy game? Is it more you just watch it?
Yeah, it's just me more watching it.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorites?
Richard Pryor.
Really?
Yeah. Shane Gillis.
Yeah.
I like Dave Chappelle. There's a
One
few.
of the GOATs, yeah.
I could go down the list. I watch stand-up comedy a lot.
The kids are on Richard Pryor still, huh?
No, I don't know if the kids aren't on.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The younger generation, is that fair? Yeah, they're on Richard Pryor. No, that's good to hear. What about this team, Zaire? Have you noticed that progression, I guess, in the zone? And certainly, we talked about that night at Michigan. It was not a good night for the zone that night. But from that day to a month later, to the Wright State game, to last game against Robert Morris, are you surprised almost with the progression of how things have worked?
I'm not surprised because I expected this from us. It's just more so like the learning part, like everybody learning to fly around and be effective in the flying around instead of just playing 100% with no brain. Like now we're just figuring out the pieces and picking up for each other in the zone. I wouldn't say I'm surprised though. I thought we could be here, and we still have a long way to go in the zone.
Absolutely. If you have a question for Zaire, you can drop that in on the YouTube stream or on X as well. I've noticed out when you and Warren are out there, you guys like that generational player that I've talked about. You guys are kind of that same. Like you have that length, you have the ability to do some different things. You mix in a post presence like IG, a point like Brody, obviously what Mike is able to do, and then Baru, by the way, is Baru. This team, is this as complete of a team as you've ever been on?
For sure. Just too many different weapons at different positions and different schemes to get everybody in the right positions, in their strongest positions. I think this is a really good team. Like, I honestly do feel that way.
Because Camp talks about it, and I even said it during the last TV broadcast where, and you've experienced it where it's been your night. And then we see where it's IG's going to get 30. And then obviously we know what Baru's capable of. And we saw Mike do it in Montana where there are guys that can just not get you through. There are guys that can Brett. Brett has his stretches where he dominates. Like, everyone is capable of dominating the basketball game.
And that's the scary part of the team. I'm learning my way to, like, when it's not my night, still find a way to be effective and help win the game. Even if that's with rebounding, playing defense, being vocal, just doing anything, even if I have to sit down. I'm just learning how to find ways to win, even when it's not your night.
Absolutely. Well, it's been your night on more than one occasion, my friend. It'll be your night. Again, there is no doubt about it. Give it up for Zaire Wells, everybody here on the Greg Camp. Hey, you said you were nervous, man. Like, you handled it easily.
I don't mean I wasn't nervous.
Yeah. Well, you played it off pretty well. Zaire Wells, everybody. We'll be back with more of the Greg Kampe Show live at Patti Finnegan's.
Because every athlete deserves to be treated like a pro. Henry Ford Sports Medicine.
In every moment, in every shared smile, OU Credit Union Visa Signature Card is there, earning 3% cash back on groceries to stock their dorm room, 2% back on fueling up the tank for the journey ahead. With a $100 welcome offer and the first year's annual fee waived, it's more than just a card. It's your partner in making every moment count, even the ones that tug at your heartstrings. Make every moment and every mile more rewarding with an OU Credit Union Visa Signature Card.
Because every athlete deserves to be treated like a pro. Henry Ford Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to the Greg Kampe Show live at Patti Finnegan's over at the golf facility on the campus of Oakland University. He is a Coach Greg Kampe. My name is Neil Rule. Bobby Ellman back in our Odyssey studios. Jonathan Turner is back in the YouTube studios as well. We did have an Ask Zaire question that came in. Nick Lucido asked him, "Are you a Knicks fan?" And Zaire was pretty emphatic with a no. I didn't want to put him on the spot like that.
He's smart enough to know in this town you're not a Knicks fan.
Yeah, Knicks Pistons relationships are not at a high right now. We'll just say it like that, especially after last night. How about that though, Camp? Last night, LCA downtown.
Yeah.
Basketball in this state right now. Basketball is, but Oakland's in first place. You know, Michigan and Michigan State are at the top of the Big Ten. The Pistons are in first place. It's a basketball state, Camp.
Yeah, it's pretty cool right now, and but again, March is around the corner, so there's a lot of work to do for every one of those teams you just talked about. But one of the things you guys were talking about the Michigan game, and you made the statement. He made the statement, the Purdue game. Well, I think what people I said to you on the court in Chrysler Arena afterwards, I've never lost a game by 40 points and thought we played well.
Yeah.
And
that played out that way too. Look at this team.
We scored 78 points. Nobody else is coming close. I mean, Gonzaga scored 60.
Yeah.
Gonzaga beat them by 40. They beat us by 40. But we had 78 points. And I think as you look back at it, Michigan's done something that in my coaching career I've never seen, to dominate the way they've dominated through the course of 2 months. I've seen teams do it for 3 weeks, a month. But to do that for 2 months has been unbelievable. They have a size that you've never seen, athleticism and size. And when they're making shots, there's nobody that's going to play with them. Now, can Michigan State keep them from making shots? Can an elite defensive team do that? Maybe. I mean, their second game of the season, they played Wake Forest. They went 19 of 34 from the three against us. They played Wake Forest and went 3 for 23 and won in overtime. So it's going to come down to, as it is to almost every team at crunch time in March, you got to make shots. And, can they do that? We'll find out. But what they've done has been one of the most dominant things I've ever seen.
You ready to answer some questions, Cam?
Sure.
All right. MD Fun, who's here in the house tonight, with the hashtag AskCampe. Says Cam, since Pat Caputo announced his unfortunate diagnosis of stage 4 pancreatic cancer, I think his reporting of the program over the years needs to be discussed.
Well, for sure. I mean, I found out about it through a text, and it was heartbreaking. I mean, it's made me sit down. Pat, 42 years ago, 35 years ago, when the Oakland Press, the newspaper, the Oakland Press, covered us, back in the days when newspapers covered people and you had beat writers and everybody read the newspaper. I mean, I remember growing, in my time here, after I got home from the office, I read the Oakland Press and I read the Detroit News and I read the Detroit Free Press and I read the USA Today. I was never on my phone. Of course, we didn't have a phone then, and so I read all 4 of those newspapers every day. Every day. I had them delivered to my place I lived. And that was how I got all my information. the USA Today, maybe not in the 80s because I'm not sure it was there then, but eventually when the USA Today came in, that became the national news, and you had Oakland County was the Oakland Press, and Michigan and the Big Ten and everything was Free Press and News. So Pat was the beat writer at the Oakland Press for my basketball team. But, if you look back at it, Mark Snyder was, and Mark went on to have an unbelievable career with the Detroit News. Charles Robinson was. Charles Robinson's now the lead writer at Yahoo Sports on the NFL. I mean, Charles Robinson's a big, big deal. But he was the beat writer for the Oakland Press. And then Pat Caputo followed them. And so my relationship with those guys are very close. And to hear what Pat had to say, and I've tried hard to contact him since I heard it, and I've not been able to contact him. I've called, text, and I've talked to people in the business, and obviously he's not doing well, and he's not on his phone, and it's heartbreaking, just heartbreaking. He is a good dude, man. Pat Caputo's a good dude, and he said some things. I mean, he said some things about me that people in my family didn't like. He said some things about a lot of people, but he did his job. And he also came back and said a lot of great things about Oakland basketball and our program and how it developed. And he did his job, and he was really good at it.
Robert Kushler in the YouTube stream says, what does Coach Kampe think about the new structure of the conference tournament?
Oh, I like it a lot. I really like it a lot. I voted for it. The reason I like it is because the first, once we get to 12 teams next year, the top 6 teams in the league are going to have home games. And the more teams we get to Indianapolis, the better it is. And we're going from 4 to 5 this year, and then next year we'll go from 5 to 6. I'd like to see us get up to 12, all 12 teams there. Yeah. There's a brand new facility that was built in the G League team for the Indiana Pacers. Built a brand new facility, very similar to what Wayne State has. And if you haven't been in the Piston or the Motor City Cruise or whatever they're called,
yep.
G League facility, it's where Wayne State plays their games now too. This building is very similar to that, and I'm pushing, and a lot of people are pushing to get our tournament moved to that building. It should be announced pretty soon whether they're going to or not, because the contract with the Coliseum is up. And so to get as many teams there as we can, I think for the conference experience for the players is really important. But I also like, the home game, and it's not, if you finish first, you're going to play the 10th or 11th or 12th team, and that's what you want. You want to be able to play a team that you're supposed to beat and play a game and not sit for a week while everybody else is playing. And so I really like it. I think it's really good. And now it's on us to finish in the top 5 this year so that we have the home game.
Pittsburgh Marty on X with the hashtag AskCampe. Sean and I enjoyed seeing all of you at Youngstown to ring in the new year. I know that adapt or die is your mantra. What are the 2 single most important adaptations you've made over the last few years?
I think that the game has changed drastically. I do a lot of speaking in the off season, right? Most coaches are asked to do it, and I've gotten to the point now where I'm doing a ton of speaking, especially to businesses and things like that. And one of the questions I always get is, how have the kids changed? How have people changed? How do you change your leadership? And I start by saying this, and I kind of like this. 25 years ago, you'd ask a player to jump, right? And they would say, how high? Right? I mean, when I was in college, if my coach said jump, how high? 10, 15 years ago, they would say, okay, but why? Right? Why do you want me to jump? Today, if you ask them to jump, they'll say, yeah, but how much are you going to pay me? And I think in 10 years, if I'm still doing this, they'll say, yeah, coach, I'd jump, but it's not in my contract. So I think learning to deal with that, right? Learning to deal with that. Zaire is a perfect example. He's getting paid to play here at Oakland. And he's done a really good job, and I really enjoy coaching him. And the guys that are getting money to play, I was concerned because we'd never done that before till this year, not at the rate that we did. And I was very concerned, and I'm not. I think it's even better. I mean, it's a job for him. He understands the importance of school. Will never not stress school, because when I'm done it in this thing, Mike Helms came back and got his degree. I had 3 players that haven't got their degree. Now it's down to 2. Mike Helms is going to be 40, I think, 38, 39 years old. And on his own this year, he came back. We paid for it because I promised him. I beg every kid that we'll pay for you. You get your degree. So I'm down to 2 kids in 42 years that finished their careers here that don't have a degree. One of them's never going to get it because he's making a lot of money, and he thinks that's cool that he's doing it without a degree. And he just flat out told me, and he was 1 class away. And then the other kid it's just not going to happen. I beg him. I call him every 2 or 3 years and beg him, but he's just not going to do it. So it'll always be important, and they get it. But you know what? It's been a really fun thing this year with this group of guys and handling them and just watching. They want to be great, right? They're obviously they want to make way more money than they're making here in their careers. And so you just adjust to it. And then I think the biggest thing that probably is, I think I've calmed down in the last 2 or 3 years during games.
Would the officials suggest that?
I don't know if the officials would think that. Izzo gave me a shirt that said Mr. Nice on it, right? So, I mean, obviously my reputation's changed. But I think that, I think my language is way better than it used to be. I think that...
He didn't say it was perfect. He said it's way better.
I still don't think a 9-year-old should sit behind my bench. I mean, I understand that, but... I think they can sit across from them now. It's not quite as loud.
Yeah. On X with the hashtag #AskCampe, Gary McCarrick. What's your most prized sports collectible, and how did you get it?
Wow. Scoobo came into our locker room the other day, and after we beat Kentucky, the Tigers had us down. Trey Townsend, myself, and Golke all threw out the first pitch of the game. And Scoobo caught mine. And I had talked to him beforehand, and I got a chance to talk to the manager, Hinch, for quite a while. And that was really a cool thing to sit there in the dugout and talk to him. And he wanted to know how we were able to, beat such an upset and things like that. And Scoobo came by and said, "You ruined my bracket." And I looked and I go, "I ruined mine too." I had Kentucky going to the Final Four. So I threw the first pitch out to him, and he brought it to me, and he hands it to me. He says, "Would you like me to sign it?" And I go, "Only if you're going to win the Cy Young." And he looked at me like, "What? What kind of?" And I go, "Seriously, you're good enough to win the Cy Young. I'll have you sign it when you win the Cy Young." And he goes, "Okay." And he started handing me. I go, No, I'm kidding. Just sign it." So he signed it, and 2 years later now he was in our locker room pre-Michigan State game. He's on his tour to let the city know he still loves it here, I guess. But he was at the Lions game. He was in Izzo's locker room. He was in my locker room. And he walks in, and I go, "Did you bring me the ball with Cy Young on it?" And he goes, "I thought about it, but you said no, don't worry about it." And I go, "No, I want the damn ball with your Cy Young." So he goes, "Okay, I'm going to get you one." So I think that would probably be just because of the interaction,
right.
The story more than anything. But I got Nick Petrozzani's autograph when I was 9 years old at the Lions Thanksgiving Day game when they beat Green Bay. I think it was 24-12 or something like that, back when Green Bay had just won the Super Bowl a couple of years in a row, and Vince Lombardi, and I got to see Vince Lombardi coach. And my dad took me in the tunnel of old Tiger Stadium. They played where the baseball stadium was. The football played Tiger Stadium. And this guy came walking by, and he wasn't much bigger than my dad, and he had a fedora on, and he had a long trench coat on, just like you would think it. It was like Bogart in a movie or something, right? and it was Nick Petrozzani, who, if you don't know who that is, he was the starting fullback for the Detroit Lions. And he stopped and he talked to this little young guy and he signed a piece of paper. I still got it. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah. Matt, who enjoys Horizon League basketball, asked Kampe, you and Izzo agree on a lot, so I think we can guess how you feel about the NBA draft picks and G League guys playing in the NCAA. But you also talk about getting older. Would you consider someone like that if it was an option for Oakland?
Yes. Why wouldn't I? If I didn't, then I wouldn't be doing my job. Now, he'd have to come here and be a student, right? You're going to come here and you're going to be a student, and you're going to promise me, if we're going to pay for you to come to school, that you're going to get your degree. And if they would agree to that, and if they're going to be the student that we want them to be, and they're going to go through, we have a very rigorous way we go about our kids. Our kids go to class. We stalk them. We are up their tail. We know what's going on every day, and they're here to be students, and I will never change that. So if
Zahire's nodding his head going, yeah.
We've been up his a few times, trust me. So if they were willing to do that, then why wouldn't I? It's legal. It's part of the thing. Now, do I agree with what is said on that? Yes, I agree. I don't think it should happen. But why would we want to go play this team that's got him if I can get him and it's legal for him to play? You know, I have my standards and everything, but I'm not stupid, right?
Right.
Maybe I am. I don't know. But as long as those are the rules, you play by the rules, right? And I try to think I'm a rules follower when it comes to my career in basketball and what we do around here. And so we'd follow the rules.
All right, Camp, I'm going to take the break and come back, and we'll clean these up, and then we'll look ahead to a big, big weekend in the arena, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's do it. We'll be back with more of the Greg Kampe Show. We are live at Patti Finnegan's on the campus of Oakland University.
Because every athlete deserves to be treated like a pro. Henry Ford Sports Medicine.
In every moment, in every shared smile, OU Credit Union Visa Signature Card is there, earning 3% cash back on groceries to stock their dorm room, 2% back on fueling up the tank for the journey ahead. With a $100 welcome offer and the first year's annual fee waived, it's more than just a card. It's your partner in making every moment count, even the ones that tug at your heartstrings. Make every moment and every mile more rewarding with an OU Credit Union Visa Signature Card.
Because every athlete deserves to be treated like a pro. Henry Ford Sports Medicine.
Welcome to the final segment of the Greg Kampe Show. We're live at Patti Finnegan's on the campus of Oakland University over at the golf facility. He is a coach, Greg Kampe. My name is Neil Rule. Happy to have you with us. If you're watching on the Golden Grizzlies YouTube page, if you're listening on the Odyssey app and the radio in your car, whatever you're doing, we're glad that you are participating in that. Did want to say extra special. President Peskovitz is here in the house tonight with their partner Dan as well. So President's hanging out here. Did the short drive over to Patti Finnegan's. We appreciate seeing you. Absolutely. Ashley Dooling out here with the golf course as well. The best golf courses in the state of Michigan. That's fact, not opinion, even though it was an opinion, but it is also a fact. So there it is. But we're cleaning up these Ask Kampe questions. Giovanni Mosheri, after their league game against Milwaukee, Coach Doug Gottlieb talked about how the league schedule saw rivalry games. What are your thoughts on the league's treatment of rivalries? And essentially just the Cliff Notes version, Doug Gottlieb was very upset that Green Bay was playing Milwaukee on a Monday night. If you have anything to add to his comments there, feel free.
Well, sitting in on the scheduling, as I think we talked about that maybe a week or two ago, I'm the liaison from the coaches to the league scheduling. And Doug's new, and he has an opinion that's a lot of times you see people that don't know the history and the backlog of how things work, and they make statements that, you know, are emotional statements at an emotional moment. I've made some of those same statements over the years in our Detroit game. You know, we've gotten Detroit during students' break, or, you know, we play them on a Thursday night instead of a Saturday or something like that, and I would get upset about that. But once I got on and learned how it all works, you understand that, you know, there are priorities that you have to put in scheduling, and all the
constituents.
Yeah, that word.
Yep.
All those people have different priorities. We have 6 or 7 schools in our league that share their facilities, like Milwaukee shares it with the city of Milwaukee, Cleveland State. And so they only get certain dates. It's in Oakland, we can play, you know, priority number 1 is men's and women's basketball and our volleyball at Oakland, and then everything else is scheduled around it. Many schools aren't like that. So you have those restraints. And we've asked the different, say the word again.
Constituents.
What their priorities are.
You can say coaches, right?
Yeah. Well, it's more than coaches. You've got your coaches, you've got your athletic directors, you've got your presidents. The presidents have a say in it. In fact, the presidents have the final say in everything.
Which is true.
As they should. You have, everybody's got, and so you, and as a scheduling committee, you collect all those and then you prioritize. Well, what's the most important thing? Well, the coaches have said the most important thing is 2 days prep. Okay? And then he mentioned in their travel partners, well, we did away with, you know, he brought up, and again, this is not ignorance is the right word, but not having been around enough of knowing the situation. We don't have travel partners anymore. We as coaches wanted to get rid of travel partners, and we did. And now you have 2 days prep, which that was number 1 from the coaches. So if you're the scheduling people and you sit down with this big mass of information and you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that, and these are the priorities, these are the dates that Milwaukee or Green Bay can play at home. Green Bay won't play on a Sunday during the why? Why do you think? Because of the Green Bay Packers. Because if you've ever been to a game there, that town folds up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the number 1 thing in that whole area that they financially everything.
Hotel prices triple, quadruple. Yeah.
I mean, well, you think about that. We played Purdue this year, and they were playing Ohio State on Saturday. We played Purdue on Friday night. And Colin can tell you, we stayed, 45 minutes from the arena? And the difference in the price was, $600 a room to $100, huh? $800 difference in the price of the rooms. That if we'd have played on Thursday instead of Friday, we'd have stayed right next to the arena, but it was $800.
We stayed in a different time zone, Cam.
I know.
Yeah.
We were in a different time. It changed an hour. It actually was. It changed an hour when you drove in to the arena. I mean, that's because of football. So Green Bay has that. Milwaukee has theirs. And so what you try and do is set a fair schedule. And is rivalry games important? Yes, but it's not up at the top of the list. Now, what I think can come about from this is that now Green Bay and Milwaukee, if they're going to, years ago that was a tremendous rivalry, and if it's starting to come back, just like Detroit and Oakland was a tremendous rivalry 10 years ago, and if it gets back, which Detroit looks pretty good this year, so it might start coming back. You might now want those games on Saturday, and that might now become the priority. And you have your athletic director make that statement to the committee, and then the committee will look at it and move the priorities around. But I think that was a little, that was just an emotional. They won a heck of a game last night, and sometimes you check your emotions, but it's hard to in this business.
Grizz 2010 with the hashtag AskCampy. I assuming you've seen the clip of Izzo kicking Paul Davis out of the game last night, which
I got to find out what he said.
Yeah.
I thought I'd leave Paul alone today, and you guys, Paul's been very helpful to us. The event that I run at the DAC, Paul has been helpful. He's helped sell seats and sell tickets, and we've taken us on as a second life. He's from Rochester. He played at Rochester High School, and I recruited him, lost him obviously to Michigan State, but he's been very good to us. So I'm going to call him and find out. I got a guess at what he said, but we'll find out what he said.
Second part of the question: which one of your former players do you think you would need to kick out of the arena?
There's a bunch.
But we've only got 5 minutes left. Kim.
I would say the ones that would be number one are twins that start with a C and still live in the area.
No, not too far from here.
I kicked both of them out of practice a lot too, so I could see what happening with them.
I'm stunned. That was your answer,
right.
Kampe.
They're probably listening right now, laughing, going, "Yeah, that's me."
Yeah, they would have been disappointed if they weren't it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Camp. That does it. Spirited session on Ask Kampe, as it always is. Camp this weekend, a huge weekend. Look, not only for Horizon League stuff, which obviously it is Friday night, Sneakerhead night at the Arena. Cleveland State coming in. At 7 o'clock.
Mean? What does sneakerhead mean?
Wear your cool sneakers to the game. If you're a sneakerhead, Camp. Shoes are a big deal, right? Jordan, stuff like that.
What does the word head have to do with it?
Sneakerhead. Like, that's people that are into sneakers. That's what they're called, sneakerheads.
Okay.
So certainly that's
Did
obvious.
you know that, Z?
Yeah.
I guess I'm really out of it.
Yeah. So Zaire, you gotta bring the heat on Friday night for the game. Sunday at 3 o'clock, Wright State, Oakland, national TV, ESPN2. If you're a student, if you're a fan, if you're an alum, come on out to the arena on Sunday and support, be in attendance, show out for the national televised audience on ESPN2, Camp.
Yeah, and it's been 5, 6, 7 years since, I don't know why, we've had some really good teams, but we weren't ever picked for the games. But back in the Kay Felder day and the Travis Bader day, quick story, I don't know if I had time, but I'm going to tell it anyways. Right. Chris Beard, he's a coach at Texas at the time, he's now at Mississippi. I'm walking at the Final Four, I'm walking in the street, and I'd never met Chris before. I obviously know of him, and then I'm walking down the street and on the Riverwalk, and I hear my name, and I turn around, and it's Chris Beard, and he's sitting at a bar with a lady, and he's going like this, come here, and I come walking up, and he goes, Camp. He goes, I want you to meet my fiance. She thinks you're the greatest coach in the country because you're the only one she ever watches, because the only time we have a date is on Friday night, and every Friday night Oakland's playing on TV, and so I wanted you to meet her. And that's how it used to be. We used to always have, and it was always sold out. And ESPN came and said the Oakland student section is the number one mid-major, whatever they said. We have the clip. We show it to every recruit. We don't tell them this was 8 years ago. Right? You saw that clip, right?
Yeah.
And we got to get back to that. And with this team scoring the way we score, I'd like to see it Sunday. I'd like to see that student section like it used to be, and I'd like to see, the place packed. I thought we had a hell of a crowd Sunday for just a game over Christmas. I thought the middles areas was really, really well. The older people was really, really well. Right?
Yeah, give it up. Yeah. There we go, everybody. Yeah.
And so we get those end zones full now with students like we've seen in the past. Sunday could be Rankus, which is what we need. And we won all those games. You can't go back to those games and say, that crowd would will us
electric.
Yeah.
It was pure electricity.
We used to have homecoming, and the homecoming game would be the largest crowd of the year. And I'll never forget Duke Monday made a 30-footer or something at the buzzer to beat UIC, and the place stormed the floor. It's the only court storming I've ever seen at Oakland, and within 10 seconds, you couldn't move down on that floor. I mean, there were 3,000 some people came running on the floor. But it used to be that way, and we've got to get back to that.
All right, Camp. Well, that will do it. We ran out of time. By the way, big basketball game against Wright State, too. It's as far as the Horizon League goes.
If we win Thursday, then it is a big bet. I mean, Friday. We got to take care of business on Friday first before we even think about it. It's just one game, right? We got to win Friday night, and then, you're playing for first place on Sunday.
For the Coach Greg Kampe, my name is Neil Rule. Thanks, everybody, for coming out to Patti Finnegan's. This has been the Greg Kampe Show on the campus of Oakland University.